Welcome to our vlog.
Hi guys! 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 Welcome to our vlog.
Our vlog is all about cognitive
Learning
And
Motor.
Development.
I am Jolie.
I am Jolina.
I am Iannah Pascual.
I am Leonard Christian C. Ferrer.
I am Jolie.
And we are the Group 1.
And today, we're going to answer the questions coming from our beloved subscribers that talks about cognitive learning development and motor development. But before we start, please click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to be updated for our latest contents.
Do you ever wonder how the mind of a child develops? Would you like to hear how it goes? Let's go!
Ay! Diyan na pala kayo. Wait lang. Okay na ba? Okay. Ako pala first question, no? Sige, wait lang. Ito pala yung tanong ko. Guys, ito pala yung tanong ko. What is cognitive learning development? Ano kaya yun? Pakilagay nga yung question mark dito. Dito. Yan, lagay mo question mark yan. Yan.
Cognitive development refers to how a person perceives, thinks, and gains understanding of his or her world through the interaction of genetic and learned factors. Children grow and develop rapidly in their first 5 years across the 4 main areas of development. These areas are motor, language and communication, cognitive and social or emotional. Cognitive development means how children think, explore, and figure things out. It is the development of knowledge, skills, problem solving, and dispositions, which help children to think about and understand the world around them. Brain development is part of cognitive development. As a parent, it is important to foster your child's cognitive development as soon as he or she is born, because doing so provides the foundation for your child's success in school and later in life. For example, research shows that children who can distinguish sounds at 6 months of age are better at acquiring the skills for learning to read at 4 and 5 years of age. To promote your child's cognitive development, it is important that you actively engage in quality interactions on a daily basis. Examples include talking with your baby and naming commonly used objects, letting your baby explore toys and move about, and singing and reading to your baby. Exposing your toddler to books and puzzles. Expanding on your child's interest in specific learning activities. For example, your toddler might show an early interest in dinosaurs, so you can take him or her on a trip to the Natural History Museum to learn more about the time that these creatures roamed the earth. Answering your child's why questions. Another way that you can foster your child's cognitive development is to provide him or her with choices and prompt him or her to make thoughtful decisions. You should also allow your child to explore different ways of solving problems. While you may want to provide some gentle guidance and encouragement, allow your child some time to figure out things, like a new puzzle. This may require some patience on your part, but it will ultimately help him or her to learn. Among the areas of cognitive development are information processing, intelligence, reasoning, language development, and memory.
Ay! Wala yung second question. Sorry guys. Nakatulog ako. Ang tagal nung sumagot ng unang tanong. Wait lang. Whew. For the second question, ano ba yun? Ayun, naalala ko na. Who proposed this theory? Sino nga ba? Tagal ko rin pinag-isipan yun Sino nga ba? Sige nga.
Thank you for that question, Leo. The proponent of this theory is none other than Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist known for his work on child development. Piaget's theory of cognitive development and epistemological view are together called genetic epistemology. Piaget also placed great importance on the education of children.
Okay siya pala. Sige, okay. Ito, last question na to. Kala nyo mahuhuli nyo kung tulog or what Di na. Ready na ako ngayon. For the last question, does it have any classification or identification of development or kinds of development? Ayun. Like that, ganun. Okay. Kaya itong sagutin. Last question na to Sige nga.
Yes, it does have. There are 4 cognitive developmental stages, and those are sensory-motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. Sensory-motor stage, birth through ages 18 to 24 months. The children learn about the world by their senses to interact with their surroundings. Pre-operational stage happens when the child toddlerhood through early childhood. During this stage, the children learn to engage in symbolic play and to learn to manipulate symbols. Concrete operational stage happens when the child ages 7 to 11 years old. The child now is mature enough to use logical thought or operations such as rules, but can only apply logic to physical objects. Formal operational stage happens when the child's adolescence through adulthood. As adolescents enter this stage, they gain the ability to think in an abstract manner by manipulating ideas in their head without any dependence or concrete manipulations. But did you know? Children think and reason largely as the same way as adults. But they lack in experiences. They are still developing their ability to think about their own thinking and learning metacognition, and to regulate their own behavior and interactions. They need diverse experiences in classroom to help them develop the self-regulatory and self-reflective.
According to the article entitled Cognitive Development in School-Age Children, written by Kurt W. Fisher and Daniel Bullock, they said that children do not develop in stages as traditionally defined. That is, first, their behavior changes gradually, not abruptly. Second, they develop at different rates in different domains rather than showing synchronous change across domains. And the third one, different children develop in different ways. Cognitive development does show, however, a number of weaker stage-like characteristics. First, within a domain, development occurs in orderly sequences of steps for relatively homogeneous populations of children. That is, for a given population of children, development in a domain can be described in terms of a specific sequence, in which behavior A develops first, then behavior B, and so forth. For example, with Paget and Inhelder's conservation task involving two balls or lumps of clay, there seems to be a systematic three-step sequence. First one, conservation of the amount of clay. Second, conservation of the weight of clay. The third, conservation of the volume of clay. Second, these steps often mark major qualitative changes in behavior, changes in behavioral organization. That is, in addition to developing more of the abilities they already have, children also seem to develop new types of abilities. This fact is reflected in the appearance of behaviors that were not previously present for some particular context or task. For example, in pretend play, the understanding of concrete social roles, such as that of a doctor interacting with a patient, emerges at a certain point in a developmental sequence for social categories and is usually present by the age at which children begin school. At these times, children show more than the ordinary small qualitative changes that occur every day. They demonstrate major qualitative changes, and these changes seem to be characterized by large, rapid change across a number of domains. Indeed, the speed of change is emerging as a promising general measure for the degree of reorganization. We refer to these large-scale reorganizations as levels. We use the term steps to designate any qualitative change that can be described in terms of a developmental sequence, regardless of whether it involves a new level. Third, there seem to be some universal steps in cognitive development, but their universality appears to depend on the way they are defined. When steps are defined abstractly and in broad terms, or when large groups of skills are considered, developmental sequences seem to show universality across domains and across children in different social groups. When skills of any specificity are considered, however, the numbers and types of developmental steps seem to change as a function of both the context and the individual child. For large-scale or macro developmental changes, then there seem to be some universals, but for small-scale micro-developmental changes, individual differences appear to be the norm.
So guys, this is the end of this video.
Wait, guys! There's more. The vlog is not yet over.
Now let's proceed to the next set of questions which tackle about motor development. So let's start answering those questions.
What do you mean when we say motor development for infants?
When we say motor development for infants, babies continue to form motor skills from the core of their bodies outward, from head to tail. They learn how to handle their head and neck because when they understand how to navigate their arms, they gain knowledge to try to influence their fingers once they understand how to maneuver their arms.
According to the article of Donna J. Seck, motor development includes the change in motor behavior over the lifespan and the sequential continuous age-related process of change. It is determined by the merging of our genetic predisposition for movement and our experiences. The self-assembled movements allow exploration and skill refinement. The mover and the environment are both changed in the process. Movement emerged from the dynamic interactions of multiple components and systems to meet the intrinsic or extrinsic demands. Motor control is the physiological process whereby motor development occurs, and motor learning allows motor development to occur systematically, resulting in a permanent change in motor behavior due to experience. In the following chapter, motor control and motor learning will be explored. In addition, in 1989, Robertson proposed that the dynamic system theory be applied to lifespan motor development research. Darren and Smith have done so with a great effect. The DST, along with its underlying premise, neuronal selection theory, continues to be hailed as the unifying theme for understanding motor development. If the motor development is viewed as a study of change in motor behavior across a lifetime, age becomes a marker variable and may not be a cause of change, altering the way in which we think about why individuals move the way they do at different times in their lives. Knowledge of motor development across the lifespan is critical for therapists to ascertain the most appropriate therapeutic strategies for people to function optimally regardless of age, occupation, or disability. Are there any principles that the motor development has?
Yes, there is. There are two principles of motor development. First is the cephalocaudal. Muscular controls continue to develop from the head down, starting with the neck, then the upper body and arms, then the lower trunk and legs. Second is the proximal distal. Babies learn to control their upper arms and upper legs first, then their forearms and legs, their hands and feet, and finally their fingers and toes.
What is the importance of knowing the motor development of infants and toddlers?
Yes, it is important to know the motor development of infants and toddlers because motor skills are vital for a baby's physical ability and mobility. Our motor skills have been used on a daily basis all across our lives. They assist us in moving and doing everything from lifting heavy objects to typing on a keyboard. Motor skills and influence try to build shortly after birth and advancement as kids develop.
Is there any distinction between motor driven and motor courteous? What exactly it is?
Motor-driven and motor cautious is included in what we call temperament, wherein it refers to the consistent individual differences in behavior that are biologically based and are relatively independent of learning, system of values, and attitudes. When we say motor-driven, it is that kids wanting to try everything and highly motivated to learn and practice. When we say motor cautious, it is when the kids needing time to watch others before trying new activities. But did you know there are aspects of knowing the child in motor development, and it includes the dynamic system theory developed by Esther Telen. This states that the motor skills develop as the young child finds the best solution to use his or her body to make something happen in his or her environment. All of the changing parts of his or her body come into the solution, such as height, weight, proportions, center of gravity, and ability. The opportunity for action in environment is called an affordance. An affordance is the way the environment is perceived as having possibilities for action. In order for infants and toddlers to engage in new small or large motor actions, the environment must offer opportunities or invitation. It means that the environment should be welcoming, safe, and no objects that can harm the child. This reflex is an involuntary movement in response with a stimulus. These reflexes of an infant and toddler include the palmar hand grasp, that an infant closes hand and grips your finger unintentionally, or caregiver gives their finger near to the hands of an infant. Also, a newborn to 2 months can turn their head when lying on their back. Hand is fisted and the hands are reflexed. And rooting and sucking. Turns head in search of nipple when cheek is touched and begins to suck when nipple touches lips. Then, locomotion. This includes walking, running, skipping, galloping, hopping, jumping, sliding, walking backwards, and leaping. Trunk and neck strength allow head control. Together with arm movements, these body parts work to create rolling. Kicking and reaching build muscle strength and control that contribute to crawling. Crawling appears in many forms. Combat crawls, scooching on the bottom while sitting up, and the traditional hands and knees. Another trivia for you guys is that we have the common 5 senses, which are the sense of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. However, with regards to motor development of infants and toddlers, they get the sense of balance or equilibrium from the vestibular system. This sensory information is part of the motor system.
By the time a human embryo is 5 weeks old, it is just the size of an apple seed, but the brain has already begun to grow. By 8 weeks, the basic structure of the brain and central nervous system are in place. The neural networks are spreading out, and even now the nerve signals are traveling more than 150 miles an hour. At birth, nearly all 100 billion neurons of the human brain are already in place, but the brain only weighs about 25% of what it will later on. It's about to embark on its fastest growing period, quadrupling in size by the time a child finishes preschool. By age 6, the brain is 90% of its adult size. During that burst of growth, 700 new neural connections are formed every second as we gain the capacity to smile around 2 months, to talk usually around a year, and to dress ourselves around the age of 3. In those early years, in fact throughout our lives, the brain changes through experience, learning to speak, taking those first steps, understanding colors and shapes, forming novel thoughts. But as certain neurons are used more frequently, other unused neurons go away. It's a process called pruning. And almost anything can shape us in those baby and toddler years. First words, first ice cream, first TV show, first argument, for better or worse.
Vestibular system is a sensory system that provides the leading contribution to the sense of balance and spatial orientation for the purpose of coordinating movement with balance. As you walk along, the vestibular system in your inner ear is constantly monitoring your balance and your movements. Information about your muscle, tendons, and joints come from the proprioceptive system. It detects the motion or position of the body or a limb. Your proprioceptive system is telling your brain about your physical position right now. The proprioceptive system is located in our muscle and joints. It provides us with a sense of body awareness and detects or controls force and pressure. The proprioceptive system also has an important regulatory role in sensory processing, as proprioceptive input can assist in controlling responses to sensory stimuli.
There is a common disorder for infant and toddlers. If they didn't meet the appropriate motor skills, they should develop the cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders of a person's ability to move and maintain balance and postures. It is also the most common disability in childhood. Cerebral means having to do with the brain. Palsy means weakness or problems with using the muscles. So these are the types of cerebral palsy. So the first types of cerebral palsy is the spastic cerebral palsy. It is a developmental disorder caused by the damage to the brain before the birth, during the delivery, or within a few years of life. It is also the condition that prevents the normal developmental of motor function. Spastic cerebral palsy is characterized by jerky movements, muscles, tightness, or stiffness. The second type is the ataxic cerebral palsy. It is a developmental disorder that affects the motor function. Ataxic cerebral palsy is characterized by problems with balance and coordination. These issues are caused by the damage to the developing brain's control centers. Next is the athetoid cerebral palsy. Athetoid cerebral palsy is also known as the dyskinetic cerebral palsy. It is a movement or disorder caused by damage to the developing brain. This type of cerebral palsy is characterized by abnormal and involuntary movement. So, for our last types of cerebral palsy, here is the hypotonic cerebral palsy. Hypotonic cerebral palsy is a palsy that causes hypotonia, also known as a low muscle tone. It leaves your child's muscle to relax, and these fluffy muscles can make everyday movements difficult as well as exhausting.
According to profile of pediatric patients with cerebral palsy at the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Philippine General Hospital, cerebral palsy has been recognized as the most common motor disability during childhood by the Center for Disease Control, with prevalence estimates of 1.5 to greater than 4 per 1,000 live births based on population-based worldwide. In the US, it has been estimated that 1 in 278 infants born every year will be diagnosed as cerebral palsy, with a projected total of 764,000 children and adults manifesting one or more of the symptoms of this disorder. The surveillance of cerebral palsy in Europe in 2002 stated that the incidence of cerebral palsy in Europe is 2 per 1,000 children. Kans et al. In 2004 stated that impact of this condition constituting 67% of severe motor disabilities in childhood. The situation in the local setting is no different from these statistical figures. In a comprehensive status report of Pediatric Rehabilitation Service of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Philippine General Hospital in 2010, cerebral palsy is the leading diagnosis of new patients referred to the service on outpatient basis, totaling 329 out of 1,173 or 28%. The department status report showed that among pediatric inpatient referrals, cerebral palsy ranked third in the patient census and is consistently among the top 5 cases. Furthermore, based on the data of the Philippine Cerebral Palsy Incorporated, patients with cerebral palsy outnumbered those who with spinal lesion, polio, and other movement disorders combined, approximately 1 to 2% of the total population.
Okay guys, that's all, and we're hoping that you have learned something and enjoyed our vlog.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for
See you.
watching.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
I'm Jolie.
I am Jolina.
I am Iannah Pascual.
I am Leonard Christian C. Ferrer.
I am Jersey.
Oh, it's okay, big man. Chewbacca's not gonna get you. He's not gonna get you. Hey, look at me. Hey, big boy. Man, what you...
Lemon. Yeah, you got it. Hey, did we have him right or what? Yeah, son of a. Wait till you see him next time. Hey, wait till you see him next time.
Is it not? Alright, I think that's
Oh, babe, I forgot her hair looks a mess.
Don't like it.
Oh, yeah, that's a go.